Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. A latest report has been revealed by Auditor General. But let me start by asking this very simple question. And this question is targeting to people, those who are into international relations and also people from the hospitality. When a president, for example, the German Vice Chancellor comes to the country, or let me say Korean Prime Minister comes into this country, do Kenya foot the travel? Is it us who pays for the air tickets? What is the cost sharing of that? Of course, I know that government can pay the hotel and maybe food here and there. It may be travels. But to what extent? When you visit a country, when your president or president visits a country, and I'm asking because I know there are quite a number of us who are there. I'm talking about this issue because I think hospitality needs to be redefined. A new report that was just being leaked out is showing that State House spent 8.5 million daily for 6 months on hospitality. Each day, the State House spent 8.5 million. And because of that expenditure, for the last 9 months that William Ruto has been in office, hospitality has gobbled 1.5 billion. Well, you see, that means for the 180 days daily at the rate of 1.5 billion, it translates to 8.3 million per day. Within the same time, and that report, they were very intentional because they tried to compare within these 9 months, comparing what William Ruto has spent on hospitality to President Uhuru Kenyatta the same time in the previous financial year. The same time, Uhuru Kenyatta spent 627 million the same period. Ruto has spent 1.5 within the 9 months. The same period in the previous financial year, I'm saying William Ruto has spent 1.5 billion now. But the same period in the previous financial year, Uhuru Kenyatta had only spent 627 million. Now, what is this showing you here is the number has doubled. And it's the reason why I think the Auditor General is raising red flag is the kind of that difference, the difference in that. And that's why I started by asking what is really. Now, these are the fellows that will take the microphone and stand before hustlers and tell the hustlers that we found dilapidated coffers, that the country is broke, that the country is in some sort of an economic crisis, but we are extravagant when it comes to spending. Our spending habits does not depict us. We don't behave as people who are really in some economic mess, because when it comes to spending, we don't have a reverse gear. Now, it remains unclear according to this report. This report is in the Star. I think if you check the Star newspaper tomorrow, you'll get it. That it remains unclear that what exactly triggered a huge spike in the hospitality spending. Someone will tell you about maybe inflation. Now, Ruto has been holding big meetings in State House, religious leaders, high-profile world leaders, and have also visited during this period. So, and a lot of political activities has been going on, including those interdenominational services. Now, that would, maybe as you ponder around that, the other one has really shocked me is IBC. Another high spender in hospitality for the 9 months was the Electoral Commission. Since September to now, the IBC has spent 2 billion on hospitality, and they're saying in ostensibly being payouts for hosting poll officials. Well, now which for poll officials? Because elections is Shaisha, and the only elections that IBC has done are just two, which is the by-election and Chebukati left in January. So I don't know whether this was the 2 billion was payout was paid to the former IBC commissioners, because since January those offices are vacant. The IBC do not have a commission, not even a single commissioner. The two had left and the other four had been pushed out. So IBC, as we speak, only has the secretariat without a commission. So I'm even, what kind of money is that? Now, Treasury, 250 million in hospitality, and Interior, 248 million, and the Judiciary, 310. Wow, the hospitality vote goes mainly towards meals, tea, snacks, staff, and guests. Now, there is this other chart that has just been shown here. They've tried to compare last 9 months, previous financial year 2021-2022, and then 2022-2023. Domestic travel, for the whole previous year, Uhuru Kenyatta spent 8.4 billion. William Ruto has spent 9.3 billion for only 9 months. Foreign travel, Uhuru Kenyatta spent 3.9 billion for the whole financial year. And then this one is 4.6. Now I can tell you, we have a problem. And our problem is ourselves. Because while on the other end, we say we don't have money and we want the country to bear with us because of what is happening, but the devil is in the details. We are unhelpable. There are three things that if William Ruto must address. Currently, the discussion about taxation, Kenyans are worried, and there is a research that was done by some fiscal affairs organization that is saying that 90% of Kenyans were against the finance bill. And one of the reasons why, not the housing levy, one of the reasons why Kenyans rejected it was because they don't trust the government with their money. And that directly shows something called governance. If we are not careful, the hospitality is emerging as the new conduit of wastage or conduit of pilferage. Because this is somewhere, I don't know whether it works as miscellaneous, but a lot of funds can be misappropriated under the guise of hospitality. There is need for deeper audit on and to redefine what is hospitality. And in fact, it needs to go to parliament. The same way we are trying to create framework on foreign travels. And I want to help William Ruto very easy. I just want to give a very honest opinion, and this one can help. If we want to achieve austerity measures, the expenditure of government, even on issues like travel, hospitality, we need to anchor a lot of policies on law in the constitution, punishable, because there is a limit we normally have. And I think during budget we had there is a policy into how much someone is supposed to get when he goes per DM when he's out of the country or on different areas. We have how many people maybe are supposed to attend a conference or so and so. But then that talks in external, but internally We should also have, and I don't know, maybe it is there, a legal framework on how much is the cost of tea. Let's just have a cap. Let's just do some capping. That even if you're taking tea in Kempiski, or which is 5-star or 3-star, any hotel in this country, the cost of tea per person cannot go beyond X amount of money. Because that is the weak loophole that is being exploited to steal money from the public. But do William Ruto need my advice? Does he know? Is it not true that what I'm talking about is something people around him already know, and they cannot correct it because it's an avenue of looting? It is clear that we must go to law, because, and the reason why I'm vouching for a legal framework to seal this conduit of wastage is because for quite some time, it's not new, the Auditor General's role has been limited to raising the red flag. But after raising that red flag, what happens? Nothing happens. And you'll realize that, of course, after this, if this is raised, the ESCC is supposed to be dispatched in some of these offices to go and sit down with the financial and procurement and do some investigations on how things really, how the spending was happened there, and tie down people, those who might have misappropriated some funds, because again, that gap cannot be realistic. IBC needs to explain really, who did you pay the 2 billion? Honestly, the election was over, we just had a by-election, who was being paid that kind of money? You know, some of these things need to be explained a bit. Now, what is the role of Auditor General if his work is just to raise the flag and it ends there? And after that, no one picks up the investigation. And any sort of investigation that can be picked cannot go beyond just a press conference. And the files are just gathering dust somewhere in the shelves. So the State House team, and I think I'd analyzed it, I picked it, Macharia Gaido did analysis and said the very first week William Ruto was inaugurated into office, that was in The Nation. Macharia Gaido did an article and said that the president should open the gates of State House for audit, so that when you tighten audit from the house on top of the hill, it will cascade down, people will fear. But otherwise, if we have a wrong precedence at the top, that is why even other sectors, ministries, and even other arms of government might get themselves in that. Our problem is not taxes, but appetite for exorbitant expenditure. Our enemy is not whether we are collecting taxes here or we are over borrowing. That is not our enemy. Our enemy is our expenditure. And to make it more understandable, our enemy is governance. And yes, I must salute the president. I listened to him speaking in, I think today was in Naivasha, and he said that I know Kenyans are talking about how their money is going to be spent. Leave for us governance. I think Lena Kaikai was asking, being that we've had past scandals of public money being swindled, how will he instill confidence in Kenyans that the kind of money that are being collected will go to the real cause? And he was actually coming out clearly and saying that, actually confessing that in the past we've had a governance problem, but you still is accepting that we have a governance problem, and that is something that cannot help us, make us not to move forward with the plan. So if we fix governance, hey, I'm telling you, the austerity measures will not need a circular to come from Treasury to different state departments and ministries. No, you don't need a circular. When it is, austerity measures will be anchored, if it is something that is anchored on law and our governance is seamless, without this appetite for stealing, will get somewhere. But the president, if we can't fix governance, then you are unajikaranga, because Kenyans gonna ask you for the houses. They want to see people living in those houses. And if you will not be able to show the value for your money, I listened to the president saying, I'm not bothered about second term, and I really smiled, because that's what he's bothered about. If he's not bothered about it, he would not be talking. Shaturamba. I'm here insist. Let's get Wacha, let's feel it. Because the politician is eating while yourself is feasting, while yourself, after voting, you are struggling to put a meal on the table.